name is Antonio Nanez, and today I'll be giving my genius hour proposal on fandom. Everyone in this room is a fan of something, whether it's a sports team, an actor, or a fictional character. Although today I'm going to be talking about baseball, football, basketball, and hockey fans. Fans have reshaped sports since they began. From Princeton and Rutgers playing the first game of college football to the last national championship here in Santa Clara at Levi's Stadium that hosted over 50,000 fans. In this video, I'll be going over the earliest type of fans and who they root for and what players brought on the most attendance. Fans today, how they shape the sports we attend, and finally, the science of being a fan and what happens internally that makes you go flying out of your seat. Icon come alive. George Herman Ruth, or commonly known as Babe Ruth, attracted fans to the field of Polo Grounds. Ruth attracted 36,000 fans to Polo Grounds one time, and at the same time, 15,000 fans were declined from watching Babe Ruth play. Babe brought in attendance like it was a job. He was single-handedly making the Yankees money. That year, he brought in 1.2 million fans at Polo Grounds. Babe Ruth went on to play 22 seasons of baseball and setting the home run record, which was later broken by Hank Aaron, and then later Barry Bonds. Babe Ruth was given the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 2018, more than 3/4 of a century after he had swung a bat. The Chicago Bulls had the 3rd overall pick in the 1984 draft. The year before, the average number of fans going to each game was 6,365, a record low since nearly a decade where they managed to bring in 6,303. With that 3rd overall pick, the Bulls franchise would turn into a dynasty. They selected Michael Jordan, a shooting guard out of North Carolina. The once rookie would manage to bring in around 11,800 fans in his first year, and that number would continue to rise. In 1996 and 1997, the Bulls would average around 26,000 fans per game. In that same year, the Bulls won the NBA championship and set an NBA record of 72-10 to the NFL's fan base to not talk about him. His name is J.J. Watt, and what he did for the state of Houston for hurricane victims was remarkable. He donated personally $100,000, but also started a YouCaring page that raised over $37 million. But he didn't stop there. He hosted a celebrity softball game at Minute Maid Park where the Houston Astros play. This showed how much of a fan favorite J.J. Watt was. Fans came from all over Texas to support him and to cheer him on. I really watch or go to hockey games. But when I think of one hockey player that I consider a fan favorite, it's Wayne Gretzky. Wayne Gretzky is considered one of the greatest players of all time. His records and stats blow other great hockey players out of the water. His hockey style brought fans to watch him. Gretzky played for many teams, including the Edmonton Oilers, the Los Angeles Kings, the St. Louis Blues, and the New York Rangers. For each of those teams, we saw an increase of attendance. Next topic about rule changes and bans that have been authorized by the leagues. First is the rule having no teams in Las Vegas due to gambling, and more specifically, what happened with Pete Rose. If some of the audience doesn't know, Pete Rose is arguably the greatest MLB hitter of all time. He has the most hits in his professional career, but isn't in the Hall of Fame because of what he did as a player coach. He gambled on his team, the Cincinnati Reds, of if they were going to lose or win, which makes him a cheater. Personally, I believe he should be inducted, but the MLB does not care about my opinion. Going back to the rule change, the NHL finally decided to go against the rule and decided to create the Las Vegas Golden Knights in their first year to reach the Stanley Cup Finals, showing that having a team in Las Vegas is a success. This shows that other leagues and organizations could do the same thing as the Knights did as well. Jumping over to the NFL, the owners voted 31-1 on having the Raiders move to Vegas. 31 of the owners said yes, and The only team that said no was the Miami Dolphins. You guys might be asking why this connects to fandom. This is why. Fans all over would bet on the games, which may influence coaches, owners, and GMs to gamble on their team, just how Pete Rose did. This would increase the bets in the casino, which would lead to casinos earning more money. Fans have a huge impact on the leagues they root for. They can influence on where teams play and can have a huge impact on the game and or series. This is why the higher seed gets to play more games at home because of home court advantage. There's such thing as home court advantage because of the diehard fans that come out and rattle the other team hoping to disturb their game plan, standing energetically walking around. Researchers who study testosterone will tell you that fans are having the same hormonal response that the players are. Basically, whether you play the game or watch the game, if your team won, your testosterone is probably going to go up. The magnitude of the change is going to be pretty similar. This explains why so many riots have happened after sports championship wins. A 2012 study found when Spanish soccer fans were cheering for their home team in the 2010 World Cup final between Spain and the Netherlands, the match triggered a surge in testosterone in both men and women. When we're watching sports, it feels as if we're actually playing in the game. We begin to place ourselves in the athlete's shoes, thanks to mirror neurons primarily found in the right side of the brain. These cells allow us to reflect and connect to someone else's movements without verbal communication. An article by Medical Daily states, when we see a familiar action, our mirror neurons activate and fire exactly as long as the observed action. This is what allows us to instantly understand the action, its goal, and even the emotions linked to it. For an example, if we're watching a strenuous action, mirror neurons will get excited and lead to an increase in our rate and respiration rate. Personally, I see this every time the Warriors play, and especially when it's the playoffs. My dad is a definition of a diehard fan. He yells at Curry for taking a bad three, but the next play, when Curry takes the same shot and makes it, he jumps up and yells throughout the house about how much he loves Curry. Of your internal things you feel during watching your favorite team play is stress. A study by researchers from VU University, Amsterdam, measured hormone levels in saliva samples taken from 58 Spanish soccer fans during the World Cup. Despite Spain winning the World Cup, the participants had higher levels of cortisol and testosterone. They were the most stressed because they knew they had no control over the outcome. In conclusion, sports fandom can be linked to social status and our self-esteem based on the social identity theory. This explains why certain people are motivated to behave in ways that can boost their self-esteem, like being a sports fan. So when our team loses, our self-esteem suffers, and this is when we get stressed. Collectively, as a community. However, it still gives us a sense of belonging, which makes us feel good, especially on the days we win. We are fascinated with players who are legends like Wayne Gretzky, Babe Ruth, Michael Jordan, and J.J. Watts. Fans are continuing to change the game, and I'm excited to see what the future has in store. And lastly, here is a funny video about the crazy sports fans that are in today's game.